All right, we're going to talk about what we're taking our work from our sketches into Illustrator. So I'm going to start with creating a text box. And when I create a text box, it fills with automatically placeholder text. I'm going to go ahead and type in the name of my city. And I'm going to bring in, go to window, sorry, go to type. And I want to see my character palette. Oh, here they are over here. I already have it open. My character palette, and I want to, Myriad is always going to be your default. I'm going to start with Bodoni. Go with the Bodoni bold. Make it nice and big so you guys can see it. Okay. So first things first, typing in my city. So go ahead and just going to start with by typing in my city. And then the first thing I want to do is go to my type tool. And I want to look at kerning. So the first thing I'm going to do is work on kerning. So you guys have played the kerning game. And so the first thing we want to look at is, is there anything we can do to help the kerning of this? What do you guys think? Is there any area in this? I just typed it out without doing anything to it. Is there anywhere you think could use improvement the way this is typed out? What do you guys think?
I think it looks okay.
Maybe the L and the W are tight.
I agree. I think the L and the W feel a little tight. So I'm going to pop my cursor in there. And you can select the two letters. I'm on a Mac. I'm going to hold the Shift and the Command key down. And I'm going to hit the right bracket. And that allows me to move the letters with just my key. And if you look over here, I'm going to put this window here so you can see it. Watch the kerning numbers. So they're moving by 20s. Do you see that?
Yeah.
If I want them to move even less, I can just go into this space. Sorry, I have to have them selected. I can go into this and say, and do it much smaller increments by using the character window and adjust that. A smaller space. And so they're just affecting the space between the L and the W. But I'm going to stay at 20. Excuse me. The other place I'm going to look at is between the K and the E. I think they could go a little closer. So again, I'm going to hold the Shift and the Command key down and hold this time the left bracket. And that's going to pull them closer. And you can see if you're watching the kerning, like, oh, that might be too much. Oh, hold on. It's grabbing both these. Hold on a minute. That's not what I want. Just be holding this. Just adjust the space by the W and A. Okay, so I have the kerning, say where I want it. So the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my selection tool. and go into my type menu and go create outlines. Now what I've done is I've created this into art. It is no longer type. It is no longer a typeface. It is now an object. Okay, but you notice how it's all grouped together. Well, because I'm going to be manipulating this from my word mark, I need to ungroup it. So I'm going to go to Object, Ungroup. Now I click off of it. I can click each individual letter separately, and it won't select the others. So each letter is now a separate selection as I go through. So that allows me then, I'm going to zoom in on one letter. So I've decided for my design, my L is going to be manipulated. Now, when I select using the white direct selection tool, it allows me to select the letter and not have a box around it, but it allows all of the points. Can you see those? The points of the letter show up. If I use the regular selection tool, it creates a box around. When we're going to manipulate the typeface, we want to use the direct selection tool so that we can see all of these points, because we're going to use these points to make edits. I'm then going to select just the top portion. And I've selected just the top portion of my L because I'm going to extend the stem. I'm going to hold my Shift key down, and that allows me to not have anything else. Oops. I unselected something on accident. Make sure you have all of those selected. I'm holding the Shift key down so nothing goes out of whack, and I'm extending my stem. If I pull back, I can see I haven't affected the rest of the letter. I haven't changed anything down here. The serifs are the same size and everything. I've just manipulated this top part of the L, and I'm allowed to just, I could make it go as high as I wanted. Okay, so I've selected my L. Now for my design, I'm going to have it be, my L be striped. So I'm going to take my rectangle tool, and I'm just going to take a color so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's use a hot pink. It's very bright. Bright yellow. So let's see. Okay. Now I want to make a stripe that goes all the way down. So the way I would do that is duping. So I'm going to take and hold okay, so I'm going to take that and hold. I have to look always because I don't want to tell you the wrong keys. So we're going to go Shift, Option, Command. And you see how there's a little plus next to my cursor. I'm holding the Shift, Option, and Command key down. I'm clicking and dragging it down to the distance I want. I've done that. I'm going to let go. I'm letting go of all the keys. And now I'm doing Command D. And that's called duping. And I'm going to go Command D all the way down, and that makes them exactly equally spaced all the way down. So I get to the bottom. So now I have my stripes, but I still have just objects on top of my L object. So now I'm going to select all of it. So I'm going to start at the bottom so I don't get any part of that eye because I'm kind of close to my eye. There we go. I've now selected everything. And I'm going to open up my Pathfinder window. I go to Window. It says my Pathfinder's, oh, here it is. My Pathfinder is open. It's right here. Here's my Pathfinder right here is open. And so you have shape modes and you have pathfinders. And when you roll over them, I have it set so that I'll see what they say. So the first shape mode is unite. So if I wanted to merge them, I don't. I want to cut them out. Minus front. That's actually what we want to do. So I'm going to say minus front. So now that just took out all those yellow bars. So now I have a striped L, and I can move this around and it's all one object. And so it also is going to behoove me if I have to put this on. Remember, we're ultimately going to be putting these on a photograph. So let's just look and see how that works, because we're now going to put this on, say I'm going to put this on a colored background. So I'm just going to make a colored box, object, arrange, send to back. And you can see that it is transparent. So when those, whatever I'm putting behind my L, will get the color showing right through. So I'm going to pause here. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Sorry, I'm like super new to Illustrator, but so
worries.
is your text still like a text? You didn't convert it to an outline or anything?
No, I converted it to an outline right away. After I
Oh,
kerned
okay.
it, I turned it to an outline.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Oh, I lost my W, didn't I? Somehow along the way, I lost my W. What did I do with it? Oh, I had grabbed it. Hold on a minute, guys. That's what it was wrong. I'm like, where did my W go? I accidentally grabbed my W. So I can just go Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, which is what I just did to get back to this. And now I'm doing it again. So now I can see my W. Did you have another question, Angela? Or is that just from before?
No, I raised my hand like right before you said any questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. No worries. Anyone else? Okay. So other things to consider, let's say, okay, so that's cutting out something out of an object. Let's say we're adding something to one of our letter forms. So I am going to take over here on the shapes, and there's a star tool. And let's see, I'm going to pull out and make a star. And let's say I'm adding the star to my M. So I'm just laying my star. Let's zoom in, make sure we got it laying in here nicely. I'm going in and I'm like, okay, I want my star to line up with my M. And so I've laid, and I'm going to make it a different color so you can see it. Make sure we can see what we're doing here. Okay. So here's my star. I've laid it over my M. I'm going to select my M and my star. And I'm going over here back to the Pathfinder tool. And I'm going to unite. Now this is one object. It changed the color of the star. I can obviously change this to any color now, and it will change everything, not just one element. So I could go back to black if I want to go back to black. I could change it to purple or whatever color I want. But no matter what I do now, it's not two separate objects. It is one. It is one object. So you always want to, whatever we're doing to manipulate our letter forms, to add our designs, we want to make sure that we're building it correctly in Illustrator, that we're not just putting objects together and not manipulating them to turn them into compound shapes. We want to make sure that they're compound shapes, because ultimately we're going to be putting these designs on a photograph. And so if you have boxes and things lying there, you'll see them in the when you lay it on a color background or on a photograph. So we want to learn how to build these, not only design these interesting, letter form, logo types that we're creating, but we also want to make sure that we're building them into compound shapes. Any other questions? All right, I think we'll pause here. This is a good place to pause, and then we'll do some more later.